Hi, this video I'm going to go over creating a red tunnel, remote Ethernet device. That's what that acronym means, between two XG appliances. They're both running firmware 16.5. These are virtual appliances. I get them running on VirtualBox, right? So here's like the network diagram. You got on the WAN side. Ultimately, you're going to be on this 10.104.32/24 network, 128 on one of the XGs and 211 on the other. Those are the WAN addresses. And then the LAN, I'm connected through the web admin on each through this management IP network, 172.16.244.50 and 172.16.244.75. And then on each, I've got a LAN that's bound as an alias under the same port, 192.168.60.1 and 192.168.20.1 in the both /24. So the goal is, to create a red tunnel between the WAN side here, and then you'll have to do the routing and stuff. So I just have another slide. Oop, wrong one. So there we go. This one. So basically, if you look at the XGA site, it's going to have a point-to-point tunnel bound to the remote Ethernet device, 10.18.18.1 as the address /29. I'll add a unicast route for the 192.168.20 network. That's over here at site B, known via 10.18.18.2, right? And then we'll have to do firewall rules. And then you get the reverse on the site B. The tunnel IP will be 10.18.18.2. Unicast route will be 192.168.60.0 via 10.18.18.1. So the bidirectional traffic and obviously firewall rules. So the first thing we need to do is we need to enable red, right? So temporarily I've got this on a network that allows the port 3400 out, TCP UDP 3400 for the registration process. So if I go to System Services, red, and then enable it, my network needs to allow me to go ahead and communicate with the Sophos Cloud registration service so that this particular feature will be enabled. And then I'll go on the other system services, red, and I'll go ahead and enable that. So if you get at this point of enabling, if you get a box that says, failed, cannot communicate on port 3400, you've got some sort of upstream firewall preventing you. So red has been configured and updated successfully. I'm gonna use the option to force TLS 1.2, version 1.2. If you've got compliance checks and things like that, you might need to do that. I'm not going to, so yeah, enable any other features on that. Now I'll go over here. I'll do the same on the site B. Okay, so red's ready to use now. So the way I do that is I go under network. It's actually, we have this same technology in our UTM appliances, but in here in the XG, it even makes it much easier to define a red. So I'm going to create a red server on site B. So I'll go add a red of type. It'll give me, so this is going to be my site B server, right? And it's going to be of type red server. If you were connecting it to a UTM, we would use a legacy, but we're going to use red server. Tunnel ID, if I've got lots of them, I'm going to leave it at automatic because it has to be a unique IP. And I'm going to make, this is going to be 10.18.18.2, and because this is site B based on the diagram. And whether or not to enable tunnel compression, that's always, think of it this way, it's going to cause more resource consumption on the XG devices. So every packet going into the tunnel will need to be compressed, and on the other end, it will need to be decompressed. So I'll leave it up to you. If you've got a huge system that has lots of resources, sure, enable tunnel compression. If you've got a really fat pipe across the internet and there's no latency, then don't enable tunnel compression. It's a trade-off. If you enable tunnel compression, you might create resource utilization on the red device. So the cool thing is that all made an interface. If I look at all interfaces now, I've got here it is, my red interface, right? With an IP address on it. So it's status offline. So let's go over to the other side. Actually, I'm sorry. Over here, now what we would do is we can download the provisioning file, right? From the red server at site B. So there it is. There's the provisioning file. So I'm going to go ahead and move that. 5C02, boom, right? And then we're going to put that down in my C:, my firmware. I'll put it in that directory. Okay, I'm going to pause this just for a moment. Okay, so if I come over to the other UTM for site A, go ahead and create a new red. And this type, we're going to call this connection site B, right? And it's going to be of type red client. And we're going to put in the IP address. But before that, I'm going to go ahead and check, grab the provisioning file. Now, what I'm going to need to do is I need to put in the IP address. If I look at my diagram here, where is that? Right there. So I'm on site A. I'm importing the provisioning file. So I'll need to put in the IP address 10.104.32.211 of site B, right, for it to establish the connectivity. So I actually have to put this test network on this actual WAN. So I'm going to pause the video while I go ahead and move the WAN of both units into this network here. Okay, so I got these guys on the network again. So we'll go ahead and add a red, right? And it's going to be connect site B. So it's going to be, and then if I look on the other box, its address is 128. So it's going to connect over to this IP. So it's going to be of type red client. Destination host is 128. Choose file. That red file I downloaded just a bit ago. And this site is going to be 10.18.18.1 of /29. And we're going to leave this in the LAN zone. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Okay. So now that config gives it all the properties to connect. Now it's offline. What I usually do is I usually turn it off here, come on the other side, turn it off here, just toggle them, and then come back to the server side, turn it on, and then come over on this side and turn it on, right? And then if I come back to the original server, I usually just click this button to refresh, and it says it's uplinked. It says that it's right there, enabled, it's connected, right? So next steps are over here, if I refresh over here, remote IP, it's connected, that's the WAN address, right, of the other device. So now we need to do a static route. So I'm on well, I can go ahead and I can try to ping the other side by using the diagnostics, and address, we'll put in .2. And so the interface, this all hangs off of, we'll just ping it, right? Because that's going to just use the local routing table. So I can hit it. But I'm not going to be able to hit if I put in the other sides, 192.168. I think it's 20 on the other side, right? So if I look at, 20.1 is bound under the port 3. 20.1, if I try to ping that, it's not going to know. It's going to send it out the default route of the system, and that's not going to know where that address is. Or there's not going to be known. If it does, it's not going to know how to get back. So what we need to do is we need to add unicast routes, right? So to say this network is known via the .10.18.18.2, the other side of the tunnel. So we'll come in here. You could also do it by dynamic routing, but we'll just do for now IP4 static route, right? So destination 192.168.20.0 known via 10.18.18.2, the other side, right? We don't need an interface, we can just do that. Would I have a typo in there or something? Yeah, .2. Okay, so that's the first thing we did. All right? And then I have to go in the other. So now, even I've added that, I bet you it still won't be able to ping because the source of the connection, it's not going to know where to send it from. So if I do 192.168.20.1, it won't know how to send the reply back, right? That's the other side. Um, I still have to go on the other side and say that, oh no, from the tunnel it knows how to get to it, but from the LAN address over here, it wouldn't, the other side, site B, would not know how to get to the LAN address. So if I look at, I'm 60, so on the other side I need to go add a static route. Boom, 192.168.60.1/24, known via 10.18.18.1. Okay, and now I can come over here and I can ping the LAN 192.168.60.1. And there you go. So now that I've got that established, if I wanted to, I could, do more advanced routing, OSPF or BGP. I could create areas across that red point-to-point link, and then do dynamic routing so that I don't have to maintain a large static bidirectional static routing table. All right, great. I hope you found this short video helpful.